This is the moment that designers cherish.
The moment designers love.
It's the moment we bring our clients into the finished product for the very first time.
The moment we show them how all of the elements have come together to create the home of their dreams.
This is The Reveal.
My name is Mickenberg and I'm an interior designer here in Los Angeles, California, and I'm so excited to show you my project here in Encino Hills. This home has a classic mid-century feel to it on the outside, and it's very refined and sophisticated. All of the materials were very high-end and it was made really well. I fell in love with the bones of the house and the way that the architect did a beautiful job to make sure that all of the views were highlighted in every single room possible. The landscaping here is beautiful because it has a lot of beautiful greenery in the right areas where it's not too much but not too little. There was a lot of yucca trees, agave, and just plants that really love the California sun and really do well during the summer. And they still feel very modern and sophisticated, so they paired really beautifully with the house. The best part of designing this home was the freedom that I had to design each room without too many constraints. When you have a new project, you're always concerned about a lot of different elements and colors and parameters that your client might give you. But in this case, it was the opposite, and I felt I was able to take a lot of risks, use a lot of materials that I would use in my own home. This design was a big reflection of my own personal style. You have leather, marble, brass, many different kinds of finishes that normally maybe you wouldn't put together, but I think it's a good way to have balance all throughout the entire house and still make it feel warm and cozy by using all of those different elements. This foyer is what sets a tone to the entire house, and it's the first thing you see when you walk in. It's dark and moody, but also very beautiful and warm, with warm tones of woods and a black backdrop that really highlights everything and makes it feel and look very luxurious. I have here a beautiful dark slate blue tone in the paint that frames out this little nook with this beautiful cabinet that I chose, which has a little bit of a reddish tone to it, which is a little bit different than, you know, what typical woods I use throughout the house, but it's still very warm. So this mirror was supposed to be smaller, but I just went much larger. It bounces light throughout this entire space, and it also makes the little nook feel a little bigger. The height of the ceiling being so low compared to the rest of the house, I wanted to utilize that ceiling space. Now we're gonna go into this large open space that I've divided into 3 areas, and I'm very excited to show you. When I started designing this home, I knew that this client entertained a lot. So having different designated areas that still felt together was important so that everyone could still feel like they are one group and have a flow still throughout the entire house. This is the bar area, And these pendants have a very beautiful mid-century shape to them. One of the things that was tricky about this space is trying not to make all the lighting fixtures that are in here clash or fight against each other, but complement each other. This wall behind me is a beautiful stone that's ribbed, and one of the design challenges that I faced was designing around this large slab of stone and adding this wallpaper with a textured feel that didn't take away from the stone really highlighted this element that really stood out in the bar. I think the stone really does make this space feel really unique, and the bar itself just really pops. My client's favorite pieces that he wanted to keep was this art piece, and it actually was in the foyer. I decided to have that mounted on the stone, and it actually just pops a lot more beautifully with the colors and everything else that's kind of going around it. I use very little color, but I also want to use it as more of just unique pieces so that your eye has a little more interest to the space. This space is very elevated in terms of the way that it looks, but it's also very small and cozy and sophisticated for a gentleman to live in and entertain. I think this is most beautiful little spaces that I've created to really help improve and enhance the rest of the house. One of the parts about this dining table is I really wanted to make sure that there was a chandelier that really did complement the way that the whole design looked. This chandelier is not only long but also wide, so it took up a lot of the space in this little area that has been divided into 3 spaces, and I only chose to use it here because it's one of the first things you really do see when you walk into the room, and I kind of wanted that wow factor that you can see once we walk in. This rug is a performance rug that is also very, very highly durable, and I think that was one of the most important elements to this project was high durability to try to prevent any stains from spilling, and if there were any stains, you can definitely clean it up. And it's one of those things where you don't have to keep everything too precious, but it also looks very luxurious and beautiful at the same time. Having durable materials is great, and the reason why you're gonna need these durable fabrics and materials is because of this beautiful wine cellar that's right behind you. And yeah, it's gorgeous. He has a beautiful wine collection, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to enhance and frame out as a backdrop for the dining room. So once you are done with the entertaining area, getting your drinks, you move on to the living room space, which is one of the rooms that sets a tone for the entire house. This wall was very, very big in terms of the presence that it had, and I wanted to make sure that it was beautiful. So it was refinished with this beautiful dark blue paint, and I think it really does make an impactful presence when you walk in. And this color is used throughout the entire house, but if you notice, every single room does feel different, and even that little chip of paint does look different in every single room in the way that it is reflected. So this rug is also performance. He has cats, and one of the things that we tried to do was to make sure that these fabrics were also durable with cats, aside from like some exceptions that we made. So this sectional is in an L-shaped formation, and that is just so that we can utilize the space as much as possible. I wanted to divide 2 spaces that were in the same space, and what I did was I included a console that was still low enough to not feel like you're in two separate rooms, but it also is low enough where you could still mingle with people that are in the dining room or the living room. And you can use it also as a place for your accessories or books. And it's a great way to just bring a little bit of style, but also function into the space. The majority of this home is very durable and also has pieces that can be sustained for a very long time, but I did also want to use a special piece that was a little more delicate, and in this case it was a coffee table which has tempered glass, and I think this piece is very special and almost looks a little bit like a piece of jewelry in the front of the living room. And I think it worked out and looks very, very great. You'll notice throughout the entire house I used a lot of different textures and materials, such as like the way that I use this microfiber and then this camel leather chair that also swivels, which I love. My client loves this chair. This is where he says he sits to watch all the games all the time. And then I have marble and a beautiful bench that is a little more architectural. Nothing necessarily needs to be necessarily to sit on, although you can, but it's more for looks and it anchors the space a lot better in terms of just instead of having all of these glass windows and breaking up the space with fabrics and textures is the best way to go when it's a large space and you're trying to figure out how to implement different looks within the same space. One of my favorite little nooks is this one right here. You'll notice throughout the entire house there's a lot of consoles and shapes, but I wanted to add something a little different, and I think this sort of chinoiserie style is interesting and unique, although it is black and I know there's this dark wall behind it. I think that it still has a little bit of contrast, just slightly, but moody enough where you could still see the console just kind of being complemented with this pink color. And you could see the shape is beautiful, and the way that the piece of art looks behind it is one of the things that makes anything in front of a darker wall just feel more luxurious and refined and upgraded. Let's go to the kitchen. I'd love to show you another nook along the way. I know I just mentioned I love the dark and moody color, but even me, I like pops of color. I have these vases that just bring in a little bit of color to the space, and that's what really will make a space feel a little special. I have a love for high ceilings that I have here, so I wanted to make sure that that was reflected. And what I did was bring a couple of really cool, just simple mirrors that made the space feel taller by putting one up against the other, and having this really cool chocolate brown console with legs that had an angle to them just to give it a little bit of an edge. I wanted this space to feel not too masculine, but have a little bit of softness as well to honor the mid-century vibe. This kitchen is my favorite space in the entire house. It's the heart of the house, and generally everyone does spend a lot of time here, which means a lot of cooking, a lot of entertaining. And with that said, durability again is very important, which is why I came up with a lot of durable materials for this space. One being this countertop is quartzite. It's called Florida Wave, and it has a lot of movement to it. Quartzite is a natural stone, which is a great durable material that is not manufactured like quartz. It is a little bit more on the higher end side, but it's very fitting for this particular project that I had. This is wrapped all around the entire kitchen. It's also used in the bar, which you saw, and goes a little bit into outdoor space. One of the things I love about this kitchen is this backsplash, and I created this waterfall edge which is where the stone starts on the backsplash and continues down onto the countertop. The materials that I used here also were luxury vinyl. Luxury vinyl is a very durable material for floors. Not many people like the name vinyl, especially when it deals with luxury high-end homes. This is a very advanced luxury vinyl that is out there now, which has a lot of graining and detail and texture to it that does reflect a lot more natural and hardwood tones to it and look. This luxury vinyl color that I chose is a little bit like of a soft taupey gray, and that's one of the colors that I also use in the walls. You can barely notice it, but that's also what made the space feel a lot cozier. It's just adding a hint of a taupey gray wall color. This view is stunning, and you can see the horizon here, and you could just imagine yourself sort of sitting here drinking coffee in the morning or having your breakfast. These bar stools that have also a warm texture to it, which is linen, complements the overall design, doesn't take away from it, but it just adds to the space itself with, again, a little bit of a brass detail, just to take that look into the kitchen. Not many people like black kitchens, and I know that a lot of people do lean away from the color itself, but I love that I took a risk with using the black cabinetry. I think people avoid black cabinetry because it's such a dark color, but I just fully leaned into it because I felt it is a beautiful color. It's sophisticated, refined, and I think with all of the lighter tones to this, it's really good to have contrast, which is why I chose this quartzite. And it brings out all of the veining, and it all comes together with this beautiful light fixture that I chose with a brass finish inside. And I think it just really anchors the space and really brings a lot of visual interest into this black and white kitchen with the brass detail that you see inside. Coming in from the kitchen is this breakfast nook that also has some of the best views in this house. One of the materials that I chose for this dining table was a marble lilac, which has some really cool purple veining to it if you look closer. This is a really cool dining chair that I used, and it has a leather wrap to it that is where you sit, and then an ebony frame wood to it. That way they do complement each other. Here we have this chandelier that I chose. It has also texture to it when you look close up. I chose this light fixture because although it is still beautiful, I did want this view to take center stage. Speaking of views, there's no better views than the one in this primary suite. Let's go check them out. Imagine waking up to this room and just taking a look at all of these beautiful views that are wrapped around. This room is one of my favorites as well. I did notice when I first walked in here that all the walls again were white, so I really did want to take advantage of the high ceilings and add a dark backdrop behind the bed to enhance the height of the ceilings. It really does make an impactful look, and it frames everything within it, but also make sure that there's enough space to put in art and a beautiful large king-size bed. This is a beautiful room, and when I designed it, one of the requests that my client had was to keep a fan. I'm not a big fan of fans, no pun intended, but this fan was actually a metal fan before, and to kind of hide the fan, I chose a white one that's modern. It still works with the design, but the ceilings were kept white as well. That way it's just hidden and you can't really notice it unless you turn it on. So what I did with this room was trying to create a sanctuary for my client. I used some pieces that were not too loud but also very warm and inviting, such as the rug here. Although it is very close to the tone of the flooring, it still has a little bit of comfort in the texture that I chose. The bed is a velvet texture as well that I use, and again, going in with those luxury fabrics, trying to use them wherever I could. It has a little bit of a purple hue to it, which you can't really tell unless you're a little closer, and it's not too far off from the rug as well, but they both again really complement each other, and against the black wall I think looks really great. And I use this camel leather bench, which I really love. I think that it's a piece that looks very elegant, sophisticated, again a little mid-century, and that's what I try to bring into this room as well. I love this bed so much I just want to jump in and just take a nap if I could. When you have a sanctuary like the primary bedroom, it's important to have a balance with the primary bathroom being just as beautiful and relaxing to have. I really wanted to make sure this bathtub was the centerpiece of this bathroom, and with that I wanted to add some color and complement all of the tile that was used in here. This tile is this taupey sort of light brown tile and is very warm, but I think what really made it even more special was to have, again, that poppy seed color on the wall with this art piece that had a little bit of a more edgier style to it. So I wanted to mention that with this space, there were a lot of builder grade items that I did notice as well in here, and one of them being the light fixtures. These were just some simple, streamlined, modern light fixtures that are also really great with moisture and humidity, so there's not a lot of danger involved with electrical issues. Different metallics were used throughout the house just to give it a little bit of life and sparkle. Why don't we take a look at some of the other rooms? For the two guest rooms, overall, I really wanted them to feel cozy and somewhere that they felt that it was their own sanctuary, and you can see a little bit of different personality in the rooms. This is one of the guest bedrooms in the house where you sort of feel like you're in a luxury hotel. I love this room in a sense that it has a really cool light fixture that you wouldn't necessarily think fits in this room, but it has a little bit of a mid-century vibe to it. This rug here has a little bit of a hint of blue, and it's a luxury silky rug that is highly durable and with a lot of traffic. This is a super luxurious bed that anyone would want to sleep in. Let's go check out the other guest bedrooms. Like any luxurious hotel, this is just another guest bedroom that feels luxurious, has enough space for them, and I really wanted this to also reflect all of the other rooms with the same colors, same materials, textures, and feel warm and inviting for them to stay in. This home has a lot of amazing qualities, and my favorite is the outdoor. Why don't we go check that out? This backyard is everything. You've got views of 180 degrees, and it's an entertainer's dream. Not only that, but you have designated spaces that you can hang out in with your friends and your family, such as the little seating area back there, or you can lay down on some of these chase lounges and just take some of the sun in while everyone is having a good time. When my client hosts, He likes to open the bifolding doors, and that little dining breakfast nook is the bridge to the outdoor area. There's even access to this kitchen from the inside out, and this is where the quartzite also comes in and out and just make the inside feel like the outside as well. Let me take a look at this space over here that I created for his guests. I love the idea that this is where you can have friends sit in the jacuzzi and just soak in the view at night. It's beautiful out here, and also here you can have some drinks with your friends and have the fire pit on. And this is where generally I think everyone ends their night and has a great time just taking in the California weather. I really hope you enjoyed taking a look at this house. This design was one of my favorites, and I'm really glad you came along with me.